Welcome, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your closing bell for Monday, January 17th, 2022. Martin Luther King Day, a full day of NBA action, college hoops, NHL. All three have started. All three have actually have a handful of finals. And of course, the last game of Wild Card Weekend, Arizona at the Rams, which me and my co-hosts will be discussing. There is a little movement from one of our friends out in Vegas that I will highlight and talk about as we get closer to kickoff, which is at 8:15. So without further ado, my co-host from Tampa himself, Mr. Scott E. Webb. Scotty, my brother, sporting the lightning here. What is happening?
Hey, don't look now, but they're right there at the top of the NHL.
They don't, I'm starting to, they're like Alabama or Nebraska way back. Nebraska, they didn't rebuild, they just reloaded. And that's what Alabama does in football. Yeah, you guys a wagon again. And it's not if, it's when. And definitely when the bell sounds, will be the team to beat for sure. I stated in the preview as we got closer to bringing you on, our friends at South Point, when we did the breakfast bankroll, there were threes across the board, juiced 115, 120. Well, our friend Chris Andrews at South Point, Jimmy Vaccaro, the Veasan boys have officially moved it to 3.5. Circa -3, -115. Their next move is to 3.5. And Westgate, just a flip away, 3 -120. Under over staying strong at 49.5. So I'd say initial quick math has that at that 27-23 right now, Scott. We've talked at length all week, all these games. We were spot on a handful, a couple blowouts that, maybe we didn't see coming, but, the favorites definitely came running home. As I talked this, I'm just going to reiterate, Arizona has been phenomenal on the road. One loss against the Lions. They're straight up winning. They've been dogs in a lot of these. They've got out early and hid. So I'm just going to throw this out here as a nugget. If you like Arizona, I said if, you might want to take a quick look at the first half number. You're probably catching about 1.5, 2 there. I'll pull it up soon. Maybe even sprinkle in a plus 120, 125 on the money line, whatever that is. Because I think if they're going to win this game, they're going to have to get out early, just like the 49ers. Thoughts, Scotty?
Yeah, I think they're going to have some sort of plan that allows them to capitalize on what they can do well. And at this point, with a lot of what's been happening with that team and the ups and downs that they play with, I don't know what they do good anymore. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I mean, teams have to have identities, and then they can rely on their identities and use those strengths, and then play off of that, and then drive home some messages. But I don't know what this team does. I can tell you that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the last 5 games, so running into this week, they're 1-4, and they scored 23 against the Rams. They scored 12 against the Lions, 16 against the Colts, and then they showed up and beat the Cowboys, and then they lost to the Seahawks. So I don't know what this team is, to be honest.
If you take that past form into play, like we were actually at the horse track here, and we're looking to see who's in form and who's not in form. The Patriots, we said here all along, were leaking oil bad. They were 1-3 in their last 4, and that was including a loss to the Bills at home. Who else? The Steelers, who miraculously got in, and we knew Big Ben couldn't throw the ball over 20 yards. It was kind of comical and actually a shame watching that last drive because you needed 3 scores. We knew that, but anyone that teased the Steelers was begging, or whatever. There was a little late drama. You wanted to see Ben throw one in the end zone to end. He had one last throw, and he didn't even throw it into the end zone. He threw it to, so the dinking and dunking and death by 100,000 paper cuts. The Eagles, again, we talked about who had they played? Who had they played? And so, I'm not playing Monday morning quarterback here, guys, but the writing was on the wall for some of these games that ended up being blowouts. The one that we thought would be a close one was with Dallas and the Niners. And again, on paper, this one is too. Again, maybe J.J. Watt sparks that defense. Maybe they start to get that edge rushing, with Chandler, with Watt. Maybe I've said all along, I think Kyler's got a turf toe issue. If you watch him walk around, watch his gait, it's not the same as it was in the beginning of the year. And again, he's most effective when he's scrambling. No Hopkins, AJ Green is just a shell of himself. No Rondell Moore. Ertz, just a shell of himself. So again, it's really weighted on them. I'm just really, listen, I have no problem backing the Rams tonight. The only problem that I'll foresee is if Arizona gets out and is up 7-0 or 10-0, then I know they're a damn tough dog to catch.
I will even forward that up and say, I don't remember the Rams playing with heart and with toughness and with grit and determination like that. I see them as a good front runner team, and I see them as they get ahead, they turn the pass rush loose and look out. So we just talked about what Arizona did coming into this game, and I think most of the conversation has been around who is Arizona, who are they, what are they capable of, who's this head coach, blah blah blah. And the truth probably is somewhere else. We haven't talked a lot about the Rams, and I think a lot of it is everybody likes to jump on the quarterback and go, God, is he awful, and blah blah. He got so much money to come over there, and he's not any better than he was when he was with the Lions and all that stuff. Well, let's look at what they've done in the last few games coming into this game. So you go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. If you go back 6 games, they beat the Jaguars. Okay, whoopty shit. Well, Tennessee couldn't, or the Colts couldn't beat them when they needed to, but whatever. But so they were minus 14 in that game, and they beat them. So then they played the Cardinals, and they beat the Cardinals. Then they played the Seahawks, and they beat the Seahawks. Then they played the Vikings and beat the Vikings. And then they played the Ravens and beat the Ravens. And Jeff, they got ahead in that football game against the 49ers, and they gave up the ghost. But if they didn't lose that game, they would be 6-0 coming into this game. Mm-hmm. They are 5-1. And they scored 37, 30, 20, 30, 20, and 24 points. It's not like they're playing bad football. I mean, I think that this team is I said it on the morning show. I'm going to say it again a little bit here. Of all the teams that are the favorites this week, I think this one is the one that's undervalued of all of them. We sat here and said, okay, Tampa Bay is going to win this game against Philadelphia, but that's because of who Philadelphia was, not necessarily because of who Tampa Bay was. I'm going to tell you that I think the Rams are going to win and cover this game because of who the Rams are, not because of who Arizona is. And I think that matters, especially if you're betting a favorite.
No, and I agree. I mean, we could sit here. Our job here, again, for myself especially, is I read the market. We read the market around the clock. Scott does his analytics, his sabermetrics, all his stuff his way. And we're not the guys to sit here and say, okay, let's check the boxes. Okay, slight edge, Arizona at quarterback. Running game, I think is a draw right now. Wide receivers, I mean, you got to give the edge, obviously, to the Rams. Defense right now, I give the edge to the Rams. Coaching, I give the edge to the Rams. Kicking game,
Special teams.
Special teams. And oh, it's at home. So, I mean, it's probably 70-30. But looking at the market, and I'm just going to say this, guys. I talked about South Point moving it to 3.5 as we speak. They moved it back to 3. So for me now, guys, this is important because I think what this is doing is the sharps are willing to take the Cardinals with the hook at 3.5 and then buy it back to 3, meaning this, okay? If the final score here is 24-21, okay, you push the Rams. If you got the 3 in the hook, obviously you're winning with the Cardinals. It's not going to get to 4, okay? So they're playing the game with the 3 and then the 3.5. That's the serve and volley game today, okay? Earlier today that we talked about the opening line in the Bills in Kansas City. That went from 1.5 to 2. It might go to 2.5. You won't see a Kansas City at 3. Okay. So that serve and volley is going to go 2, 1.5, 2, 1.5, probably. Okay. So this number is 3, 3.5. And the opening line was 4, which I'll say the opening line was 3.5. I'm not going to say it was 4 because I didn't see it at 4 across the shops. I think they opened that 4 to their sharps to see which way they would go with the number, and they obviously went with the Cardinals, Scott.
Yeah, well, my initial the way I do the numbers is I have a raw number, and then I have what I call influence on the game that changes the numbers around a little bit. So my raw numbers in this game is 28-24. And that's a Rams 28-24. And that matches the opening line, not necessarily the total, but it's pretty close on the total. And then as I have the game influenced, I don't have the Rams moving forward, but I have the Cardinals moving back. And it's more related to that Arizona is a middle of the pack passing team. And they are a poor running team. So I have them not being able to move the ball quite as well as what my initial numbers said. So I took 3 points away from that. And so my game is 28-21. And I can see that and that falls right in line with the total. And it's not that I'm trying to stay in line with the total. It's just that's how the game was influenced and how things work for me. But so that's kind of how I see this game, and are there ways that Arizona can win? Sure, there are. The biggest thing for Arizona in this game is they're going to have to be able to run. If they can run the football, it's much like what happened with San Francisco, the game plan with San Francisco against Dallas. Then that offsets the pressure and that offsets the running around doing crazy shit that the quarterback has to do. So, but if they can't run the football, then they're in trouble because I don't think their pass line or their offensive line holds up against this rush. And I think that that fits right into what the Rams will need to do because if Arizona can run the football, that means the safeties for the Rams are going to have to play defense on the run side. And if you're going to ask backup safeties to play defense on the run side, I think you're asking for a lot. So they need to be able to be good on the front 7 there. So that does give a path for success for Arizona. I just don't think it's a strong one. And I don't think it's one of those ones that's how they win their football games. I mean, I don't recall any games this year, and I would have to go back and really look. But just off the top of my head, and you got a better memory at this stuff than I do. I don't remember any game that the Arizona you went back on and you go, holy shit, they ran the ball for 250 yards and they threw for 100 yards, and that's how they won the game. I don't remember any of those games.
The only time I can honestly remember that, and I'd ask you to double check because, listen, I can't remember what I had for breakfast. I can tell you what happened 40 years ago. I think it was at the Rams when they were rolling, when they put up 37. They got out ahead, and next thing you know, they were just running the crap out of the ball between Connors and Edmonds. That would be my guess.
Well, I can go look at this real fast.
I'm going to tell you that's what sticks out in my head. That game alone.
Let's pull them up here. Arizona. Okay, so let's look at rushing yards. They ran the ball for 216 yards in that game against the Rams, and that was on week 4, October the 3rd, and that made them 4-0. And then the very next week, they played the 49ers, ran the ball for 94 yards. Then they played the Browns, and then they played the Texans. They were 7-0 at that point after they played the Texans.
I want to interject for one thing. That fourth week, okay, this game was like the afternoon game of the day, or whatever you guys want to call it. It was supposed to be a hell of a game. I think the Rams might even have been like 5-6 point favorites. Arizona got out early, and then in the second half, you could see the wind taken out of the Rams, and the Cardinals just ran some more. I remember that game like it was yesterday.
Well, that game ended. I don't know what it opened at this point because I don't have that information in front of me. But that game ended Rams -4. And it was in Los Angeles, and here we go again with the same sort of thing. Rams are -3.5, -4 this week. So, and are the teams different? Maybe not? I don't know. I think one team's coming in more struggling than the other one, and I think that shows. But at the same time that I say that, that's the only game where they ran the ball that much. I don't count this game. I mean, they played the Texans. They ran the ball for 172 yards. So whatever that means, that, and then this is a good one for them. They did run the ball for 163 yards against San Francisco when they played them the second time. So, but after that, there's not a lot of running the football here for this team.
And a lot of their early success in the season, when they got out to such a great start, Kyler was healthy, and so when they're throwing the ball well to Hopkins, to a healthy Kirk, a healthy Rondell Moore, they're spreading the field out, and they can run the ball a lot easier. Number one, number two, Kyler was getting 60, 70, 80 yards rushing as well. So those numbers are kind of skewed. And again, more in the market, back 4-3, 3.5. I think, honestly, you put a gun to my head here. I think the Rams win. The money line's too high. I can't play the money line. We passed here at ECSI, the VIP experience. And again, if anyone here listening, again, loves Arizona, okay, make sure you put a little something on them in the first half. That's all I'm asking you. If you like Arizona, because they're going to get out early like the 49ers. I think the Rams are the side here, but I'm staying away. But anyways, we've had a full slate of games. We talked about them. I just want to go over the NBA right now. 2 finals. The Celtics with a strong second half, wins 104-92. They cover. They opened at 5.5, dropped to 4.5. There was reverse line movement on New Orleans, but the Celtics cover there. The under comes flying in. It opened at 216, closed at 213. Charlotte and New York. Charlotte, 97-87 winner. Knicks opened at 2, went to 3. 57% of the bets, 54% of the money all came in on the Knicks. They come up short there. And the under easy, opened at 215, closed at 214.5. There's 4 games in progress right now. Looks like Washington is going to beat Philly. They're up 117-96 with a minute to go. Cleveland up 9. We talked about that, Scotty. Cleveland up 9, 70-61, the start of the third. Memphis just starting the second, up 30-23 against Chicago. and the Clippers up 46-35 against Indiana. Anything shock you? Anything you saw going on, closed, or anything coming into the night that you might want to talk about?
Well, I gave out Charlotte today, so I will tell you that Charlotte game was not that close. That 10-point differential there at the end is because they were ahead by 20 in the fourth quarter and didn't even apply pressure or do anything. So that game was nothing. So that was great for us. I will tell you that one of the games that, and I got to pop up my numbers here again. One of the game that's sort of popped up here to me that I kind of wanted to talk about, and I'm not wagering on it. It's the Portland and Orlando. Now, Portland and Orlando are two of the worst teams in the NBA, and they're two of the worst defensive teams in the NBA. But they can't score either. Either one of these teams cannot score. So the question becomes is, when you look at these teams, the teams that really can't score and don't play good defense and stuff, they're 217, 220. Those are where the numbers are. And this one, I think, is 217 or something like that as a total. Oh, it's up to 218 now. I think it's a game that goes under. My concern, and what I got to figure out, is when teams are lacking the scoring side of things and their pace of play is pretty slow, when they're turned loose because the defense that they play is not any good, how many more points should you expect? And in my calculations, the way I do them, it comes up that Orlando should score 9% more points tonight than they normally do, and Portland should score 4% more points than they normally do, and I still have them as under. So that's where I have to look at it and go, I need further research to figure out whether or not the stretch to get to that 217 is the right number, or if the 210, the number that I'm coming up with, is the right number. So that was just a thing that came across that I'm kind of looking at. The other one I gave out Miami today. I gave out Miami -3. I don't think that number's changed a whole lot yet. I'm trying to look and see. Yeah, I don't think it's changed a lot. It's not a highly bet game according to pregame right now. But I will tell you this. One of the games that I did like was Phoenix in San Antonio. And this is the one I was telling you. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to bet this game under or not. And I think I'm going to. Because I think it's moving in the wrong direction. It's 227.5, 228 or something now.
227.5 opened at 223.5.
Yeah, so people are betting this game up like crazy. And when I'm looking at pregame, and I'm not necessarily going to keep prefacing this all the time because I think people have heard me say it before, but they have access to 4 or 5 casinos, not all of them. And in that, what's great is that they can tell you how many dollars are bet as opposed to just the bet percentages. But look at your numbers, and then you tell me what it says. It says over here, 96% of the bets are on the over.
I get
96.
I get 93%. I have 93%.
Well, what happens when they get into the 90s, Jeff?
Well, that's called you either go the other way or get out of Dodge.
So, and it matches up to what I'm saying. My number says 112, 108. Phoenix wins by 4. And that's a 220 number. And that shows a 227, 220. So you've got a flexibility now of 7.5, 8 points. I think that's a reasonable number to expect. I'm showing that Phoenix plays really good defense, and San Antonio should expect 5% less points tonight. So I like the idea that this game goes under the 227, and now I'm going to make it official here. Now 227.5. So that's what I'm going to play. I played the Charlotte game as a winner. I'm going to play Miami -3, and I'm going to play under 227.5 in that game.
I'm going to stick to the Phoenix game for 1 second. Memory serves me correct. Phoenix played yesterday. This game opened at 5. 64% of the bets, 50% of the money coming in on the Suns at San Antonio and Coach Pop. It's down to 3.5 straight across the Vegas Strip. So reverse line movement coming in on the Spurs. If you hold off maybe a little while longer, you might be able to get to that 4 number. So it would take 5 to beat you. Just keep an eye on that one. In college hoops, we had some double overtime from 2 great teams. One, some think they can get to the Final Four. That's Purdue and Illinois, who should at least get through to the second weekend in the Sweet 16. Double overtime, Purdue 96-88. A line that opened at 1.5 and stayed at 1.5. And that's with 56% of the bets, 67% of the money all coming in on the Illini. That's what we call as a line freeze. You're getting more bets, a lot more money coming in on the home team, yet they didn't want to move it to 2 for a reason. So there was reverse line movement. Congrats to anyone that had Purdue, the Boilermakers, on that dog, and it was double overtime. You got your money's worth there. I'm going to bring up a game here that I talked about with my ECSI guys. It's rotation number 881 and 882. We're in the Ivy League, 7 p.m. tip-off. It's Harvard at Dartmouth. And these numbers have flipped, okay? But we talked about this, a Harvard team that's playing good, that is one of, as usual, the preseason favorites. They go on the road, and if you just look at their records, you would think this number would be a lot bigger. But it was a number that opened at 1 that is now 1.5. It is 2 at Westgate and 2 at DraftKings. It's split bets, 52-48 Dartmouth. They're showing here 71% of the money coming in on Dartmouth. We're on the Dartmouth side here. Scotty, are you still on pregame?
Yep.
Go to rotation number 881 and 882. What are they saying for their splits on that game?
Currently, there's $14,000 bet on that game.
That wasn't all my money. Trust me, it wasn't.
And they're showing 53% of the money. 65% of the bets are on Harvard.
Exactly. So again, listen, we use here Don Best, we use Wager Talk, we use Sports Insight, we use pregame. So again, we have a lot of places, and we use Ken Palm for college hoops. So those numbers that Scotty was talking about is the numbers that we saw. We're seeing a lot more bets, a lot more money coming in on the Harvard side. Yet again, there's another one of those line freezes. You can even grab Dartmouth at around, I think it was as high as like plus 120 on the money line if you want to get a little froggy there. And then there was one other game. Give me 1 second here to pull it up. Where was the other game? Tough getting old, Scott. Tough getting old, I tell you.
That's why I wear a hat. That way people don't think I'm as old as I am.
Yes. Okay. Rotation number 897, 898, a 9 p.m. start. UNLV at San Jose State. Okay. I'm showing 70% of the bets, 79% of the money, all coming in on San Jose State. The line opened at 5.5. Okay, there was an overnight correction. It went to flat 8s. Now, there are some 7s and 7.5s. We talked about UNLV anywhere from -7 to -7.5. What are you showing for numbers over there, Scott?
This game is showing 56% of the money, 51% of the tickets, all coming in on San Jose State.
Okay, so I'm not saying that there was a 2.5 point line move here. Again, less tickets, less money coming in on UNLV, but the line moved 2.5 points. I'm going to take that opening line of 5.5. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the books presented that number to their sharps, and every one of their sharps, or most of them, pounded UNLV. So the actual line that a lot of people saw was 7.5 or 8. So that's where I'm going there. But that was the other game to keep an eye on there. In the pucks, our game going on right now, we talked about, and it was San Jose. In that game, 52% of the bets, 80% of the money all coming in on the Kings. The Kings opened up minus 115, and there was a handful of shops now that had San Jose as the favorite. Again, reverse line movement there on the Sharks, less bets, less money, yet the line flipped there. We were taking a peek at Vegas as well. We did not release that one, but it seems like a lot more money coming in on the Pens, yet Vegas is still the favorite there. So that was our board for the day and night there. Scotty, any closing thoughts? You want to clue people in? You talked about some NBA, your closing thoughts on the football game or whatever.
Well, I think there's a couple things, and we put out a new thing today called the 12 Commandments of sports wagering, and I think the best way to kind of look at that stuff is sometimes you got to look at a blueprint of what you're supposed to do, and then count how many errors you make. And if you're making errors, then you're going to have inconsistency in performance. So be careful on what you're doing. And the 12 commandments, obviously you break one, you can still win, whatever. I mean, it's not like it's the law, but at the same time, if you want to win on the long run, you got to know what you're doing. And there's some of that stuff that's really in there. I was also thinking, Jeff, those could be chapters in a book. Anyway, that being said,
you just opened Pandora's box, wink, wink, because those are your chapters in your next up and coming book.
So, it is kind of interesting how stuff plays itself out, isn't it?
Yes, it is. By then we'll have plenty of sponsors for you, so it'll be well worth the effort. Trust me.
I need more time and days. I think that like what we've always talked about, no matter how many games are available to you, where you find an edge, bet it. I don't take this the wrong way, Jeff. Don't be the guy that leaves the shit on the table. If you have an edge, put it out there and bet it. Now you have to have bankroll control. And that's where you have to go in and have unit size, and you have to do different things to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be. And so ideally, you don't want to play all these games. And I'm just going to give you a helpful hint. If you were to go and play 130 games, play the dog in 130 games and see how you come out. You're just going to be better off. I just tell you that. That all being said, don't do that. You want to pick out the ones that you feel like you have an edge on. And what I like to do is find edges that I don't think are already built into the line. And, somebody being injured, that's already built into the line. Weather conditions a lot of times are already built into the line. There's a lot of stuff that's out there, and you can find ways and you can find means to get stuff done a little differently.
I 100% agree. And again, you did a hell of a job here with the 12. I'm not going to go through all of them, but some of them are just basics. And some of them are a lot of, it takes a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And I think the long run is I think there's a big majority of people that bet on sports. And at the end of the week, if they win, it's great. If they lose, it's just entertainment. And we have talked about that for a long, long time. Hey, if I lose a couple $100, it was my entertainment for the week, And it's when you have that great week and you win 1,000 or 2,000, and next thing you know, you're heading to Tahoe for 10 days to ski and you live large, and then you come back and you lose the next 3-4 weeks, and now you're down $5,000, and you're like, well, I already blew my winnings from Tahoe. Now I got to come back and pay the man. And again, it's on our social media pages at EC Sports Invest and at MLB20 on Twitter. It's also up at Instagram and a couple other spots there. And we just wanted to put it out there so everyone could see exactly what we're talking about. But listen, the closing bell's here for a reason. Our goal here is to get you in the right mind frame to see where our heads are, where our eyes are. And listen, there could be games that we have on the board from the breakfast bankroll to the midday market report. And then by the time we get to the closing bells, they're scratched. could have been an injury, could be steam coming one way. It just all of a sudden it just doesn't feel right. It's not, I always say conflicting information, and it's a process. That's all. It's a process. I know back in my heyday, Scott, before cable TV, before a million channels, whatever was on TV, I bet. And it wasn't a lot of money, $25, $50. You sat there with a pizza, a six-pack, you had all the TV games in front of you, and you were set for the day, And nowadays, with your smartphone is a walking casino. You get into a state that you can pull up 3 or 4 apps. You never have to leave the couch. And you don't have to leave the couch anymore anyways. You got DoorDash. They'll deliver your food. Your package stores deliver to you whatever you need. So when it's too easy, when it comes too easy, guys, you really got to take a look in the mirror and say, okay, maybe I need to take a step back. Maybe I need to reevaluate because I've lost for the last 9 out of 10 weeks. And my entertainment expense is already over budgeted, and we're only 2 weeks in the 2022.
Yeah, I always like to say that I don't want to ever apologize for any winner I ever give out, right? And I know that sounds silly, but the truth is sometimes you get lucky and you get these winners. But I'm not going to apologize for that because I know how hard you work to get these things, and I know how hard you work to turn out a loser. So the truth is it's a lot of work. It's a lot of time, and it's a lot of trying to siphon through what you call the spaghetti strainer to get all the information that you need that's most appropriate for the way you think to make the game come out to the way you want it to come out in your mind. And then you have to have, and maybe this is a commandment that I didn't put on there. When you go to the betting window, you need to have conviction in what you bet, or don't take that to the betting window. That put your money where your mouth is shit is right. You have got to have the conviction to take it up there and put your money on there, or don't take it up there and hold it and wait for the next one that comes along that you do have the conviction for, because there's 8 million of them.
I'm going to say this sarcastically, okay? And one of my, I don't want to say all-time favorite movies, but it's a good late-night movie, is The Wolf of Wall Street. And when he was trying to recreate his new company, he has the guy on the hook right there, and he goes, I don't want you to evaluate me from my winners. I want you to evaluate me from my losers, because they're very few. And right there, he's got him hook, line, and sinker. And but that's comical. Again, everyone here, I can't thank you guys enough. Myself and Scott are really putting in a big effort. Not that we haven't before, but we're, names, faces, recognition. We're right here. We're not going anywhere. Okay. So if you can do us just one small favor, just run over to YouTube at East Coast Sports Investors, hit the subscribe button. It's free. Run over to Twitch, East Coast Sports Investors, hit the subscribe button. It's free. Okay. That's it. That's all we ask for. And smash any like button around, or retweet and all that good stuff. Tell a friend. Have some fun here. We're here to educate, and we do entertain once in a while anyway. So anyways, anyone wagering tonight? Always wager with your head, not your heart. If you have a problem, pick up the phone. There's an 800 number right there. Why? Ask for help, because we care. We want you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. So always, always, always invest and wager responsibly. Stay in your lane. Have some fun with these games. Have some fun. It's the first day of the new week. We got 7 days here to battle, to grind, to make a little profit, to get a little flash cash in your pocket, and we start over next Monday. Have a day. Jeff Dawson, Scott Webb, and we will see you bright and early tomorrow at the Breakfast Bankroll.